Good morning and welcome to Bay Area Focus. I'm your host, Michelle Griego. Please pitch us future show ideas to facebook.com/Bay Area Focus. We have a great show today. We're going to discuss kidney disease prevention, empowerment initiatives for immigrant women, and a unique sports program. But first, we'll talk to two speakers from Uncharted, the Berkeley Festival of Ideas that brings great thinkers from around the world right here to the Bay Area. Saru, Jayaraman, and Chang from Uncharted join me now. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
You're both speaking at Uncharted. That's exciting. So Jeff, let's just start with you. You're an author, and your newest book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop?
That was actually my first book.
Oh, your first book.
Yeah.
I apologize for
That's
that.
okay. That was a book on the hip-hop generation, yeah.
And you really focus on multiculturalism.
Yeah,
and
the new book is called Who We Be, The Colorization of America. And it's looking at the cultural changes we've seen over the last 50 years in the U.S. All these demographic shifts have occurred, and with that, the U.S. is changing, and so I wanted to try to capture a little bit of that.
Right, you really posed the question, how far have we come in terms of racial progress? Do you answer it?
No. Well, I mean, there's provisional answers, but I was really interested in the questions, and I was really interested in the artists, the visual artists, people working in the visual culture, and the images that they've created, and how they've been able to change the way that we actually see each other, and how they haven't been able to change the way that we see each other.
Well, the book also looks at the multicultural arts movement as well. It seems almost fitting here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean, it began here, right? And so in a lot of ways, the book is a tribute to a lot of the heroes and sheroes who came out of the 70s, inspired by third world student movements, inspired by feminism, to start talking about different ways that people could actually be American. And so a lot of visionaries and a lot of big thinkers in the Bay Area, and of course it continues to now.
And you talk about the controversy in the 1980s. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, I was a college student. I was at UC Berkeley, and so those days are etched into my mind. I was part of the first class that was majority minority, which who knows what that means anymore, right? And the big controversy then was about what it meant to have all of these diverse students now on campus. And so the culture wars begin out of that. The National Association of Scholars starts up in Hayward and begins sort of a backlash against multiculturalism. So it's a fraught history, but it's one that we don't actually talk about so much, and I wanted to kind of capture that. Multiculturalism
is so important to still talk about, and then we've also had these 2 summers of polarizing events.
Yes, the book began sort of in 2008. I told my editor, we got it signed in 2008, I told my editor, we'll get this done in a year. And it was full of, we were feeling really good. We thought we've just elected a black president. But over the last 6 years, things have gotten really strange and you know, kind of intense. And so the book took a turn, and it's looking, I think, now at the difficulties of being able to continue this race conversation.
Sure, and you'll be having that conversation at the festival. That's pretty exciting. Saru, you will too, about some of the work that you've done. You're the co-founder and co-director of the Restaurant Opportunities Centers United, called ROC.
That's right.
Tell me about that.
So right after 9/11, I received a phone call from the union that was inside the restaurant at the top of the World Trade Center Tower 1. On that morning, about 73 workers died, and about 250 workers lost their jobs, and about 13,000 workers lost their jobs in the months and weeks following the tragedy. And I got together with the workers who lost their jobs at Windows on the World, which was on the 107th floor of Tower 1, survivors of 9/11. And we started a little relief center called ROC, and what started as a little relief center post 9/11 has grown into a national movement. We now have 13,000 members in 32 cities, including here in the Bay Area. We actually have 100 employer members, restaurant owners, who are working with us to fight for better wages and working conditions in this industry, and several thousand consumer members who have also joined the struggle to say, you know, as consumers, it really affects us that this is the largest industry in America that provides the absolute lowest paying jobs with the least benefits.
What progress? Have you seen any progress over the years?
Oh, tremendous progress. You know, besides the fact that we've won about $20 million in stolen tips and wages for low-wage workers in 20 different campaigns against very high-profile restaurant companies. We've actually opened our own worker-owned restaurants called Colors, one in New York, one in Detroit, and we're in the process of opening one right here in Oakland, actually, a restaurant training facility and incubation academy. But much more importantly, this past year, there's been extraordinary momentum about raising the minimum wage. We've seen movement in 30 or 40 cities and states across the country, including right here in Oakland and Berkeley and San Francisco, of course. There's lots of talk of raising the minimum wage. In fact, some actual raising of the minimum wage, talk of $15. The key issue that we've been fighting for and have gotten a lot of recognition for in the last year, including from the White House, has been the issue of tipped workers in particular, who outside of the state of California earn $2.13 an hour, are expected to live completely off their tips, are mostly women, and basically this is all due to the political influence of a trade lobby called the National Restaurant Association. And we should really care about this here in the Bay Area and in California, because the Restaurant Association is trying to win the same exemptions as we're talking about minimum wage increases here in the Bay Area. So we need to ward against that, because what our research has shown is that actually forcing workers to live off of tips, especially women, makes them vulnerable to the worst sexual harassment of any industry in the United States.
Well, you're also obviously two great thinkers, and can't wait to hear your ideas at this event. And I want to also mention you're the director of the Food Labor Research Center at UC Berkeley as well. So two very busy people here. Thank you so much for taking the time out to come on the show and telling us about the festival and all of your work. For tickets to Uncharted, the Berkeley Festival of Ideas, please log on to berkeleyideas.com. Again, that's berkeleyideas.com. Coming up, we'll hear about the National Kidney Foundation's year-round initiatives and upcoming Authors Luncheon.